Although it's made a nearly $1 billion investment in its Springfield property, there's been buzz this month that the MGM might have its eye on another casino in the state, Wynn Boston Harbor in Everett. Although the project is still under construction, the Wynn Company has signaled that it may sell the project. Meanwhile, MGM Springfield leaders have said they're committed to its project in the city. But what would be required for it to fold? Rob Rizzuto of Masslive and the Republican discussed what it would take.
If they were to reach a deal to purchase the Wynn Boston Harbor property, they would only be able to have, under current law, have one casino license in the state of Massachusetts.
Which they currently have here in the city of Springfield.
Right here in Springfield, well over $1 billion invested overall in all the money they've spent to this point. But they would have to sell one of the licenses. So you can only have one, and I don't see the state changing the law to accommodate a casino giant taking over 2 casinos in the state.
But they have a host agreement with the city of Springfield that connects them to this project. So if they were able to sell the license, and we'll dig into that a bit more later, what happens to then the host agreement?
Well, the host community agreement, to the best of my knowledge, it's a standard legal document. It's between 2 parties, MGM and the city of Springfield. But there's protections in there that basically specify that, in this case, MGM, the owning company, has to make certain annual payments. Some of them are adjustable, others are fixed. Has to have certain hiring practices. You know, this whole caveat of different conditions that were placed on them receiving the license. There's also a little note in there that's been unreported as of yet, but it states that neither MGM nor any 5% or more stakeholder in the project can transfer the license without actual approval from the city, which is really, really interesting if you think about it.
So that would take some serious wheeling and dealing, I would imagine, for the mayor or community development, et cetera, to sign off on that.
Absolutely. I mean, it would have to make sense for them. It's a clause that's in there, you know, whether MGM or the city put it in there, it's very intelligent. You know, you can't really, you know, foresee something like what's being talked about now actually happening, but perhaps somebody did.
And there's been a ton of buzz about this. There's been some gaming industry insiders who've said that, quote, and this was in Masslive, that MGM Springfield was, quote, a great fit for MGM when the license was awarded in 2014, but MGM is a vastly different company today. How has MGM changed in the past 4 years?
It's grown ridiculously. I mean, they split part of their business off into a real estate investment trust, which has been, you know, pretty successful as well. They've really grown their presence on the East Coast. They opened the MGM National Harbor Project in Maryland, right outside of D.C. They reclaimed their stake in a Atlantic City casino, the Borgata. They've grown exponentially since they were attempting to get this license. So their place is like the #1 entertainment casino giant on earth. It's really, really solid at this point.
And what MGM officials have said here is that they're committed to the Springfield project at this point. But if, as industry insiders say is actually happening, according to the report in Masslive, there's discussions looking into whether or not they could actually acquire this property in Boston. It would mean selling the license here, as you said. And let's look at the top 3 contenders for that, as was also reported in Masslive. You know, we know that Mohegan Sun is not too far away, and there are other players too. Of the 3 that are on the table, is there any that you think would be more likely to go for the license or to be able to afford it?
Well, that's a complication as well. I think most likely it would be Mohegan. I mean, as of right now, they are working to get the East Windsor, the small casino, as a buffer between basically the wealthy West Hartford area and Springfield.
To stop people coming here and spending their money here. They want to keep it in Connecticut.
Exactly. Looking at the you know, convenience gaming theory that people, if they're going to gamble, are going to go to the nearest place. They don't care about the glitz. There's competing theories as to whether that'll work. But right now, Mohegan's focusing on getting that pushed through because there's been some complications on the federal level. But looking at the Springfield license, I think Mohegan's probably the most likely
But what
contender
about-
if that scenario was to play out.
What about Penn National? Do you think they might jump in?
Well, Penn National was in competition with MGM for the Springfield casino license. They had a plan up here in the north end, actually where the Republican newspaper offices are, to redevelop that land and have a casino.
Would have been a big change for you guys.
Absolutely. But at this point, they're pretty well established in Plainville. They have a very successful slots parlor,
Yeah.
the only slots license in the state. So I've heard that floated, but I think they're very comfortable where they are.
Because they would have to sell the slots, and then that would be a lot of shuffling around for them
Yes.
if that were to be the case.
And now they've changed as a company too since they were initially awarded the slots license. They've had some acquisitions, so they've grown as well. But you know, whether they'd be interested in coming back to Springfield when they already have a well-established, profitable business in Massachusetts is questionable.
Speaking of profits, how is it that MGM would be willing to, conceivably, what would they do? Take a loss here in order to open up a casino in Boston? Why would that be worth it for them?
Because the net gains that they could get based off the Boston market would be double-digit as far as gross gaming revenue over what they could expect and anticipate here. It's bigger market, a lot more money out there, a lot more people. You know, as far as being a company looking at looking at profits, looking at money, you could take, you know, a $500 million loss here on a potential sale maybe and make that up in a relatively short amount of time in the Boston market. So it could be something that was written off and then you focus elsewhere, double down on your efforts, and make that money.
Nice connection there, double down, Rob. I got that. When you look at the host community agreement again, entertainment was a huge piece, as I understand it, of that document. And they have some pretty serious obligations, you know, whether it's 5-year commitment to bringing in events at Mass Mutual, the ice skating rink. They have to maintain that over a number of years. I mean, that's a big piece of this too, right?
It is. So in the host community agreement, MGM agreed to co-book and co-promote, I think it's 4 shows at the Mass Mutual Center, 3 at Symphony
course of a
Hall.
year, yeah.
And 3 at City Stage each year for at least 5 years after opening. So let's say that they hypothetically sell the license, okay, and then this other casino company comes in. You could honor you could honor the logistics of what's in the agreement, but you might not do it with the same, level of oomph that MGM's going to put into it.
So it would be checking that box essentially.
Absolutely.
But maybe you wouldn't have the buying power that an MGM would because they have their
Correct.
larger
Or
global
the incentive
business.
to spend money outside of your own complex as part of a plan to uplift the city. I could contractually meet my obligation to put acts in those venues for what it says I have to do, but maybe they're not going to be big acts. Maybe it'll be something that nobody's interested in going to see. So, and if that's the case, there's no positive uplift to the greater downtown community as far as entertainment's concerned. So I could meet the obligation, but if I don't really care, then that's a potential pitfall.
So this potential, whether or not MGM is going to stay here in Springfield, which again, they have said they are committed to staying here in the city of Springfield.
That, yes.
But a lot of people in the gaming community are buzzing about the potential this would mean for the MGM company to make this leap to Boston. Are we hearing from either the mayor or the community development office? Are they sweating a little bit with this potential?
I think that they are. Basically the mayor's come out and said that, MGM's top level execs have reached out and said, we are committed to Springfield, and they're committed to a successful grand opening here and, making good on all their commitments. They have a lot invested here. They've been here for quite a long time now. It's been a number of years. It's gone by relatively quickly, but, they are invested in the community. But, at the end of the day, business is business.
Very interesting to see who's playing what hand and how.
It is. It's politics, entertainment, TV. It's all wrapped into one, and it's our daily life here in great city of Springfield.
Thanks for the insight, Rob.
Thank you.